Today, we are starting with a pup date because I don't think I'm going to do a live stream for the next couple weeks because I'm going to take some time off. So today, we're starting with a pup date. So they're both kind of sleepy today. It's a little cold in this room. So we're just starting with a pup date. They look super snuggly, but once I crack this treat or something, they're going to make some moves. I can see Charlotte's bug eye. Yeah, there she goes. Hey, good girl. All right, Barry, you ready? 1, 2, 3, dog. Did you catch it? Oh, you were so close. Did you get it? Oh, hold on. We need Treato management. There we go. Okay, we got it. It was underneath the sheet that we raked. All right. Let's do one more. All right, Charlotte, can you show them your skills? Good girl. She never misses. She never misses. Yeah, we're starting with a pup date, Vicky, because it's Friday and I feel like it, and they look like all-stars today. Okay, ready? Oh, Charlotte, no matter what I do with the camera, like one of you is like never on it. Hey, Diana. Hey, Vicky, welcome in. All right, Bo, ready? 1, 2, 3, dog. Oh, buddy, you're so close. All right, good thing is you hit it back to me. Ready? 1, 2, 3, dog. Good job, buddy. All right, everybody caught one today. We have 2 catches. So we're doing great. Hey, Annie, welcome in. Yeah, I think starting with the pup date is always nice, especially on a Friday, right before people take off time for the winter holidays. Now everybody's staring at me. Okay, we'll do one more, and then we're going to get to our information. But we're starting with pup date because you guys look so cute today. All right, Barry. Ready, Barry? 1, 2, 3, dog. Oh, buddy, you tried. It's behind you. Hold on. Treato management. Did you get it? Oh, you did. Good job. Okay. All right, ready, me? Good girl. She's our athlete. She's just our little athlete. Okay, so let's talk about our topic. So we're talking about overwhelm and upper limits as a writer and how they kind of work together. Cool. I'm glad that you guys all say hello to each other too. It's nice, right? You want to say hello and welcome people in, and I think it's all nice that you guys say hi. All right, and if I end up last time I ended up with Treatos on my clothes. So if you see any Treatos, know that, or any like weird things, it's Treatos. So here's the deal. When we're talking about burnout and we're talking about overwhelm, it's really easy for us as writers to become overwhelmed. It's really easy because we have to do a bunch of different things in our business, right? So we have to do marketing, we have to deal with our deadlines, we have to work on all of our proposals, contracts, and negotiations and invoicing. We have to deal with taxes. We are running a small business. So we have to do all the small business things, right? So the deal is that it's normal, I think, when you're first starting out and as you kind of grow to new levels as a freelance writer to get overwhelmed. So if you're someone who is overwhelmed as a freelance writer, I just want to normalize that. That happens. You shouldn't be overwhelmed all the time, though. So when we're kind of working through all of our processes, right? We don't want to live in this constant state of stress. And I've done this many, many times. Like I've done this many, many times where I've lived in this constant state of overwhelm and stress, and it causes me to burn out, and it's just really exhausting. So there's a few things that we can do with it. There's a few things that we can do to handle all that stuff. So we're going to talk about that first. So number 1, I have numbers, so we can put the numbers in. Okay, where are the numbers at? Oh, here they are. Okay, so number 1, now that we have numbers, number 1 is that, like, this is normal. It's normal to be stressed out when you're running your business. It's normal to get overwhelmed. It's not normal to be stressed and overwhelmed all the time. That's usually, you got to fix some puzzle pieces there. And I've had to do that many times. Like when I've burned out or when I've been really stressed, I know that I either need time off or I need to fix my schedule or I need to get different clients who maybe have longer timelines and I don't do rush work, or I pick different types of projects, or I stop doing certain things in my business that are like taking time and do other things. Welcome in. Welcome in, Tommy. Yeah, so it's normal to get to a place where this happens, especially when you're trying really hard, right? A lot of times we're trying really hard to make our business work, right? All of these things that we're doing to make our business work out. Good night. Hope you have a nice sleep. You look so cute over there. Every time I try to fix this so y'all are both on the thing, somebody moves. There you go. Oh, but you look so cute. Okay, so number one, that's normal. But number two, or not number two, but when we're dealing with that, one of the things that I found is really helpful is not to ignore it. So for me, I used to ignore it all the time. I used to just be like, I'm fine, it's gonna be fine, or like this is normal to be this stressed out, or it's normal to I have a hair poking me in the neck. Okay. It's normal to just be worried all the time, but it's not. So you kind of have to start processing your feelings, right? You have to kind of start processing all this overwhelmed stuff and processing the stress and be like, what's actually stressing me out? Where can I work on my overwhelm? Am I overwhelmed just because I'm trying to take on too much too soon? Am I overwhelmed because I overbooked my calendar? Am I overwhelmed because I feel like um, I just kind of like am trying to do too many things at once? Am I overwhelmed because like I'm trying something new, and when I try something new, it makes me feel overwhelmed? There's a whole bunch of things that we can think about. But we have to kind of process those feelings, because if you don't, then you just live in this state, which is what I did. I wasn't like always processing the overwhelm or the stress or the burnout or all the negative things that I said about myself. So I just kept getting overwhelmed, and I would just live in this state of stress and overwhelm, and I felt really shitty all the time. And it's just because I never really like processed it or thought about why it was happening, or really kind of just like let myself feel that way for a while. I was just like, you know what, this is normal. Sometimes it's normal to feel overwhelmed, especially when you're trying really hard, or when you're trying to like grow your income or grow a business or get new clients. You kind of have to like sit for a second. And it's not fun. It's not fun to sit in all those negative emotions, and it's not fun to like realize that maybe you're stressed because you're just like used to being in a stressful situation, or that you feel like your business is never going to make it, or that you suck as a writer or whatever. Like, it's not fun to start digging up all those negative thoughts and negative feelings. But the deal is, when you start digging them up and you start processing all that shitty stuff, then you can kind of start moving on. And like, I feel that for me, a lot of what really helped was starting to notice things, like, especially when I start feeling overwhelmed or stressed. So when I start noticing these little things that I do along the way, where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm really stressing, like I'm getting a lot of headaches, so I know I'm really stressing. Or I'm getting a lot of stomach aches, so I know I'm feeling really anxious. Or I'm feeling overwhelmed because I feel like I just want to cry all the time or crawl into a dark hole. There's like these little things. Like for me, it wasn't just like knowing like, okay, like I just feel this constant like buzzy feeling, and I'm just like, oh, what's going on? Oops. And once I started identifying those, and then kind of like moving along that path, then you can kind of process them. Then you can kind of move along, and then you can finally figure out a plan for dealing with that, right? So then you can kind of set yourself up for success. So for me, a lot of times it's like, I'm getting a headache. I know I need more sleep, and I know I need to push some deadlines out. So like if I get more work, my deadlines need to be further out. I can't take any like 2-week turnarounds right now. I know that I need to plan time off. I know that if I'm feeling a lot of stress and overwhelm, I need like a break from stuff. I've like, usually my problem is like I overload my plate. I like to have my fingers in a lot of pies. There's a lot of things I want to do, so then I end up having a lot of stuff to manage, and that just like it wears on you over time. So for me, it's like sleep. I need time off. Sometimes I just need to kind of like take a half day. I've done that a few times. Or hi. Or I just kind of like, I don't know, sometimes it's comfort food. Like sometimes I'm just like, you know what, I've been working really hard. I don't feel like making dinner tonight. I'm going to have some comfort food, right? There's some things that we need to figure out, like our own personal stuff, like what's happening, right? And um, what we can do to kind of like help us process and move forward from that. So it's not that we just like eat comfort food and we're like, okay, cool, like now I feel better. It's not really like that, right? We all know that's kind of like the temporary solution, or like we have to figure out all the things of like breaking down why this is happening. Getty says stressing over many non-writing family. Yeah. Well, Getty, you have a lot on your plate. That's something else, right? Like if you have a lot on your plate personally, and that's affecting, right, like your business stuff, there's times in your life, hello? There's times in your life where, yes, would you like to lodge a complaint? Would you like to tell someone about your complaint process? There are times in every business owner's life where, in every writer's life, where your personal issues, take up space. Ready? Good girl. Ready, bud? Good job, guys. They take up space, right? And that's normal. Like I think we've talked about this before, but I wrote down in my journal for the longest time was there's more to life than work. And like I love my work. I love what I do. I love working with my clients. I love the writing that I do. I find it really fascinating. I love my students. I like, putting on my Freelance Writer Wealth Lab course. I like doing all my coaching stuff. There's lots of things that I really like to do. But there are times when your personal life and your personal stuff just kind of takes over. Like you can stress about how you can't really get into your work because you have to deal with personal issues. And like, that's why I kept writing that down. Like, there's more to life than work, because your work is just part of what you do, right? And there's all those studies, right? There's that long time running Harvard study that talks about people, like the best quality of life was the relationships in their life, right? It wasn't that they accomplished all these things necessarily, or that they had all the plans in their life go right. It was like that they had quality relationships. And the quality relationships oftentimes come down to your personal stuff, right? It's not really about your work stuff, although it can be, right? But it's just your relationships are really important. And then when you have to deal with that all the time, right? And then you have to deal with personal and family issues, like that happens, right? Our life is not 100% work, and our life is not 100% achievement. And, like we often talk about the robot stuff, right? Like I said, it would be fun to be a robot. This is one of those times where like when you wouldn't have to deal with personal family stuff, because you'd be like, I'm a robot. I don't care. I just do my work, right? But we're not. We're humans. And we have emotions, and we have family issues, and we have personal crises that we have to deal with. And we have these guys, right? Like, I talked about this before, where we had, we had our previous dog, Bruce, before we got Charlotte. Ready, buddy? Ready? Good job. Our previous dog before we got Charlotte was Bruce, and he died really suddenly, like out of the blue. He got really sick and he passed away, and we never really knew what happened to him. And I had to take a long time off of work. That was really hard for me. And I just couldn't do my work. And it was, when you lose a family member, it's really hard. And when you're dealing with someone who's sick, like that's really hard. And sometimes that has to be the priority over your business stuff. And it can be really overwhelming. It can be really stressful. And it can really push you basically, to your upper limits, right? But sometimes that has to be the priority. Like, you're never going to look back on your life and be like, I wish I had more deadlines. You're really, I feel like a lot of times you look back on your life and you're like, that was a really good time. And I'm glad, even though that time was really hard, I'm glad I spent time with that person, or I dealt with that issue, or, dealing with that issue and working through it, really helped me solve all these problems. Or sometimes it's just hard. Sometimes things are just hard and you can't really predict what's going to happen. So I just want to say that, like, it's okay to be overwhelmed, and it's okay sometimes if you have to prioritize personal stuff over business stuff. I mean, we're on here, right? We're talking about running a high-earning freelance writing business, but a lot of times you have to, like, your whole life, decades, like if you're a freelance writer for decades and decades and decades, there's never, the percentage of that time that would be personal issues would be a lot higher than you think, right? You can't just go through years and years and years with zero personal issues. That just doesn't happen, right? So I'm glad you guys are sending positive vibes to each other too. Yeah. It's just, that happens. We have to deal with personal stuff. There's unexpected things that happen, and, that has to be dealt with. It's just understanding that personal life stuff happens too. It's not just business stuff, and it's not just like trying to make yourself feel guilty for not doing all the business stuff. Like, there are times when you have to prioritize the personal stuff. Okay. Next thing that we're going to talk about. Also, we have a grumble. I don't know if you guys can hear her, but she's over there grumbling. She was asleep. She was going to sleep. Well, not asleep, but she was going to sleep, and now she's all sassy and awake. All right, buddy, ready? 1, 2, 3, dog. Good job, buddy. Good job. Good job. All right, we're going to talk about our next thing. So, one of the things I did want to mention about upper limit stuff is that Charlotte, that light's not going to get you. If you guys ever see Charlotte and she looks back, she's like really worried that lights are going to fall on her or get her, like, or something taller than her is going to reach out and grab her. She like feels like she lives in a haunted house. She's nervous Nelly sometimes. It's okay. All right, so let's talk about upper limit stuff. So there's a few things that I've learned from burnout that helped me with my upper limit. So I oftentimes, and I think this happens to other writers too, is that you oftentimes don't realize your upper limit until you've crossed it. So you get really overwhelmed and stressed, and you're doing all these deadlines, you're working with clients, you're trying to do all your marketing and send your invoices. And what ends up happening is you are like way past your limit. Like this has happened to me many times. It happened to me a couple times this year where it's just like I realize too late in the game, right? Like that I'm way past my limit. And then I'm like, I need time off, but I can't get time off for like another month or 2 or 3. And it's just part of the process. So for me, I've been more thinking of it as like a learning process and more like an amoeba. So the deal is that eagles are no, I mean lights, like not eagles, like ceiling fans or lights or like stationary objects. So not eagles. Like she's afraid of like stationary lights and tall objects. So yeah. What was I saying? So I often like overgo things, right? I go over my upper limit and then I scale back. So I've been thinking of it more as an amoeba of things that kind of like wiggle and move around. Like it's more fluid. So instead of thinking about it as like this staunch, very specific upper limit, I've been more like, okay, it's kind of an ebb and flow process. And I have learned that as a freelance writer and as a business owner, I more learn from the hard stuff. So I learn a lot of the times from making mistakes. And I learn a lot more from like me falling down and scraping my knee and like banging up my face and like making a lot of mistakes than I do from being like, don't do this or prevent that or whatever. So for me, a lot of times it's like this wave. So like I'll go beyond my upper limit and then I'm like, okay, I need to come back down to like normal time. And then I'll like ramp up my work and ramp up stuff and I'll go over my upper limit and I'm like, oh, okay. And I learn something each time that happens. So when you're kind of going over, I know you guys are putting stuff in the chat, so we'll get to. So hi, Grumpy. Hi, Grumpy. She's making grumbly noises over there. So when you cross your upper limit as a writer, that happens. Like I think that's part of the process of learning what your upper limit is and what you're capable of. And you're, oh my goodness. Not today. Not today, Grumble Muffin. Not today. You can lay down though. You can lay down. You can lay down. But you can't grumble. All right. So when you're kind of going through this process, I think that's just part of it. It's part of running a business and learning what works for you and what doesn't. And for me, a lot of times that process of upper limit and coming back down and going over my limit and coming back down, every single time I've done it, I've learned something about myself in the process. And I've learned how to better take care of myself. I've learned how to not make so many mistakes. I've learned, a lot of different things about myself in the process. And sometimes I think there's a lot of material out there that talks about avoiding burnout or avoiding like basically like skating across your upper limit, right? Like reaching your potential by skating across your upper limit. But what really happens is like it's always kind of this up and down effect. Like I guess you could, be at your potential, but there's always a point where like, for me, where I want to try something new or I want to experiment with something or I want to push myself a little bit more. And that's just part of it. I feel like when you're kind of wanting to reach your potential and you want to really expand a bunch, you can't grumble. No grumbling today. When you kind of want to get to a new place, that's just kind of going to happen. I think that learning from it is really important. And I think thinking of it as like this ebb and flow motion is more important than kind of beating yourself up. So like there's times when I talk to writers and they beat themselves up. They're like, I burned out or I did too much stuff or, I like made a mistake or I did this thing or I worked too much and now I'm really exhausted. Like that's part of the process. Like I said, I think there's some times where it just makes more sense where you have to fall down and scrape your knees and make a mistake, and like it hurts a lot. And sometimes we learn better from that. Like I know I'm just the type of person who learns better from that. I put a lot of like preventative things in place. I try to pay more attention to my sleep when I'm feeling tired or stressed or burned out or overwhelmed. I try to pay more attention to my schedule, my deadlines. I try to pay more attention to like, am I actually, exercising or walking the dogs, or like how much, or like, am I meditating, with Headspace or whatever. So there's all these different things that you can look at, but there's also when you're trying to do too many things at once, right? Like for me, I don't realize it's too many things at once until it becomes a problem. So like for a while I'm moving along and everything seems to be running as a well-oiled machine, and then it kind of like, it blows up. So sometimes that happens. I think that's just part of the process. At least for me, it's part of learning like, okay, well, this doesn't work, but these things did. And then now that you have the things that did work, you can move on and do other things. So, Diana says, since I started learning about the biz side of freelancing, I've become obsessed with it. It's exciting, but so tempting to overdo. Yes. Like the business side of freelancing is really fun. Like I've always found it really fun that you can get new clients. Like you can always get new clients. There's always new clients. And I think it's really fun to work with different types of companies. There's not that many, like for me, working at one company all the time is not nearly as exciting as being able to work with all different types of companies, with all different types of audiences, and being able to help all different types of people. Like that's really exciting. But it's really easy to like take on too many clients or take on too many deadlines and then be like, oh crap, this is too much, right? It's really fun to do all the business stuff. Like it's really fun to like watch all of these things grow, right? It's really exciting to plant your seeds and watch your little plants grow, and you're like, we did it. But then at some point you're like, it's raining and thundering and all my plants are suffering. Help, there's a flood. But that's part of the process, right? Like there's things we can control and things we can't. And sometimes the things we can control, we just kind of like overdo it. And sometimes the things we can't control just end up taking over all of our stuff, right? Like that's kind of the personal stuff, right? When you have to deal with personal stuff or family stuff, there's a lot of times when you can't control that. And it's still like, it still affects you. I'm glad you said that, Diana. It's really, really easy to overdo. Oh no, Vicky, this is like she has a thing. So she has a thing from like when we adopted her. So it's not a behavioral fear of like eagles and condors. It's that she's like really sensitive to certain things because of like she had a rough, before we adopted her, she had a rough time. So like she's really scared of plates, or like they're definitely, we figured out like things were thrown at her, or she was hit a lot or whatever. So like her fear is like stuff coming down at her. So it's like her abusive previous owners before we adopted her. So, and yeah, I agree with Annie too. It's also hard to pace yourself, right? There's a lot of times where it can be hard to figure out the pace. That's what I was talking about with the ebb and flow and the upper limit stuff, right? So as you kind of go along, it's hard to figure out the pace when you're learning a new business, right? It's hard to figure out what you should be doing and when, or how much, or what's too much for you, or what's too little. And that's part of the ebb and flow, is like to reach the upper limit part, the upper limit ebb and flow part, is you kind of have to figure out the pace. Like this is, goes back to the same thing about doing work, right? Like, so for me, I used to write one article, like yes, hello, I see you over there. You can wait. I'll give you one after this. So for me, I started out doing one article. Like it took me a whole month to write my very first reported article, and now I can write like 10 to 20 a month. 20 is like usually too much. But like it took me a whole month to write my very first article. Like I spent the whole month doing one article, and now I can do a lot. And that's just from like trial and error, learning things. And that's part of pacing yourself. It just takes some time. Yeah, I do have grumble trouble today. She's just kind of like, she was like going to lay down, and yeah, she does sound like the MGM studio line. Charlotte, why? Why do you have to do this to me? All right, Bo, ready? 1, 2, 3, dog. Good job. All right, Charlotte, let's see if we can get you to do some things that we've been training on. Paw. Paw. No, you gotta give me your paw. Ew, you drooled on me. Gross. Paw. Come on. Ew. Gross. Okay. Paw. Give me this one. Come on. No, you gotta do the paw thing first. Paw. Give me this one. Paw. Oh, we almost got it. Come here. Come on. Paw. Good girl. All right. We've been trying to get her to lift her own leg, like as part of it, instead of just like us lifting it. That's what I've been working on with her. So maybe we'll get her to do it. Ready? 1, 2, 3, dog. Oh, buddy. You're so close. Did you get it? You need help? Did you get it? Oh, you did. Good job. All right, Minnie, ready? Paw. Come on. Nope. Paw. You gotta give me this paw. Come on. No, you gotta give me the paw first. No, I'm not giving you that. No, you gotta give me the paw. Come on. Come on. Good job! Good girl! We did it! I hope everybody saw that. She lifted her own leg. We've been working on that for so long. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, dog. Oh, Barry. Barry, you really shot that one. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Good job. All right, everybody. That was my crowning achievement. I've accomplished what I needed to accomplish for the day. We got her to lift her own paw. We did it. We have successfully trained our seal. We did it. Okay. She could be a lion for Halloween. I guess it could be a behavior fear of like flying things, but also when we have vultures, she like goes nuts. She always wants to murder them. So that's why I'm kind of like thinking it's not behavioral, because she's not afraid of the vultures. She like when they fly over, she has a meltdown. Like she's trying to like tell them the business. So I feel like if she was afraid of eagles or afraid of like overhead flying animals, like then she wouldn't be like freaking out at the vultures and like trying to take them down. Good job, everybody. We did it. All right. If you have any questions, you can pop them in the chat. If you feel like this has been helpful so far, or if you feel like Charlotte did a great job lifting her own paw today, you can give it a thumbs up. If you feel like you want to learn more about building a high-earning freelance writing business, subscribe. You can always submit questions or topics. Now that we have a thing for it, here it is. So you can always submit a question to be answered on the live stream. I actually have one, I think, that was submitted, but I couldn't put it in the live stream, so we'll do that next time. But you can submit a question, or you can go to mandyellis.com/question to submit a topic. Like if there's a topic about freelance writing or running a freelance business that you want answered, you can go here and submit it. Cool. Okay, last things. So we want to talk about sustainable and healthy ways to go through things. Yeah, it's totally true about the vultures, right? Like she totally wants to murder them, and like she's always like, "Hey, come down here and fight me!" Like they, the vultures, the vultures a lot of times corral themselves on our roof or like our neighbor's roof, and she's always like, "Get down here and fight me like a real dog!" Like she has she really has like a meltdown about it. So, yeah. So the vulture thing and I think the eagle thing, she's not like scared of it. Okay, let's talk about potential and let's talk about sustainable, healthy ways. So, or not potential. Let's talk about healthy, sustaining ways. Okay, so let's talk about this. This is our part 2. So now that we have numbers, now we can do that. Part 2. Eventually, we're going to have like some stuff on here. I also have this. So just because like I have one GIF. So I'm really excited. We're going to talk about part 2 with our healthy, sustainable ways to deal with this. So eventually, we're going to have more GIFs and things to share. Vicky says she's convinced. Okay, we did it. We did it. Eventually, I'll have other things on here. But for now, we're kind of like just going with the numbers. So here's the deal. Every time you get overwhelmed or stressed or you burn out or you like go over your upper limit, you have to write things down and pay attention. Okay. So this is what I've learned the most is like I have to pay attention to very specific things or I end up repeating the process too many times. So like this year I knew that I needed more time off. Like I had paid attention to several different things and I knew that I need more time off. So for example, one of the things that I do, I know everyone's happy about the goose chip. One of the things that I do that's very destructive is I have revenge bedtime. I forget what it's called. It's called revenge bedtime syndrome or whatever it is. So it's a real thing. And I didn't believe it until other people started talking about it. I found this like on Instagram. So yeah. Dog mom. Yeah, dog moms like me definitely choose Jif. Yes, exactly. No, they are geese. You know what? They're geese. I don't, or they're like a very weird type of duck. I don't know. We'll have to someone identify what that critter is. Okay. Where was it? Oh, revenge bedtime. Yeah. So this is a real thing. I didn't believe it until I started reading about other people who had this problem. Revenge bedtime syndrome or revenge bedtime, whatever it's called, is basically like you don't get enough time during the day. Like you feel like you're doing stuff all day. So you stay up late at night because it's the only time that you feel like you have to yourself. And I do this all the time when I'm really stressed or overwhelmed or burned out. I will stay up really late or I'll stay up all night. So I've done this many times. I will finish my work, and sometimes I don't finish my work until like this is when it gets really rough. So sometimes I don't finish my work until like 10 p.m. or midnight or 1 a.m. and then I'll stay up for another 2 or 3 hours because I want to like come down from that, right? So yeah, revenge bedtime. Oh, revenge bedtime procrastination. That's what it is. It's this. I thought it was totally a fake thing that I was doing, but it's a real thing. Um, and so if I finish my work really late, I will end up doing this. Or what ends up happening is like I finally have a day where I don't work a ton and then I'll just stay up all night and like fall asleep at like 6 or 7 in the morning. Yeah, I do. Yeah, she says that's me. Yeah, it's a real thing. And I often do it. Shh, shh. I know you guys can hear her grumbling. She's just like being a wild beast. Can you lay down? Thank you. Okay, good girl. No. Okay. So this is something that I do, and it's really destructive, right? So what ends up happening is like I don't end up getting quality sleep. I don't end up getting a ton of sleep, and it kind of ruins my whole sleep cycle. So one of the things that I did this year that was really rough was like I haven't been on a very good sleep cycle. So like my bedtime has like you can't like look away when I look at you when you make noises. Like you think you're like getting away from it, getting away from it. So this says revenge bedtime procrastination describes the decision to sacrifice sleep for leisure time that is driven by a daily schedule lacking in free time. That is 100% my problem. So when I'm doing a lot of deadlines or client work, or I have a lot of calls, or I have a lot of things where it's like I have to move very precision like through my schedule, then when it comes time to go to bed, when I'm like ready to go to sleep, then I don't really want to go to sleep. I want to have time to myself. Shh. Grumble muffin. Okay. Shh. Shush. Shush. Okay. So, for example, when I want that free time, I will just sacrifice it. So, this year, I have gone to bed anytime from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. This year has been really rough, and this is what I end up doing. So, at 9, sometimes I'm really tired and I like can fall asleep at 9 p.m. and I'm good to go. And sometimes I revenge bedtime procrastinate and I end up going to bed at 7 o'clock in the morning. And this is usually on like a Friday night or like a Saturday night when I know I don't have appointments the next day. But I will go to sleep at like 7 a.m. and wake up at noon and like not get any sleep, and it's not good quality sleep. And this is a problem, but I started noticing it in myself like a while back. So these are things where we have to start making a list of what we do. The other thing that I really dealt with over the last couple of years is like comfort eating. When I'm like, I'm stressed and I'm tired and I'm overwhelmed, I need to like eat a snack or I need to do this thing. And I wasn't taking very good care of my health. Like recently, I've been able to actually start working out again, and I feel a lot better about myself and I feel a lot better about my health. And I've been more careful about what I'm eating. And there are things that you just kind of, I don't need seal removal. She's good. She's laying down now. Um, so I pay attention to these things and I write them down. So like when I start craving certain things, like when I'm really tired, I crave a lot of chocolate or sugar. And normally I don't like things that taste like sugar. Like I really like chocolate, bar none, but I don't like really sugary snacks and I don't like really sugary like treats. But when I start doing that and I'm like, oh, I really want something sugary, that's when I know I need sleep. Or if I feel like I forget things, or there's a whole bunch of things that I do or I feel like I don't want to do anything, like all I want to do is just lay around and like watch movies. There's a whole bunch of things that I pay attention to now that are like really big signals that I'm overdoing it and that I need a break, or that I need to like really find a better sustainable schedule, or a way to put in my workouts into my week, or just things to kind of help me keep working to my potential that I want to reach and do all the things that I want to do without like eating tons of sugar and not sleeping and, you know, being crazy with all the things I'm doing. So I think when you're trying to figure out a sustainable way, like every time you go over your upper limit, you need to come back down. You need to kind of come back down from that. And what I mean by that is write it down. Like, how do you actually come down from that? What have you been doing? What have your habits been? Sometimes I'm like really snappy. Like I get really irritated really quickly. And that's another thing when I'm not getting sleep, when I'm really stressed. And it's not good, right? That sucks. That sucks for like people around me. And I don't really want to be around people because I know that I'm not like being a general joy. I'm being a pain in the butt because I'm like irritable and annoyed. And these are things like I write down, right? I write down all these things I'm doing. And I think that really helps you kind of plan for the future. When you start noticing these things, right? Like, I noticed this week I'm craving a lot of sugar. Like, well, how's my sleep been? Or I know that this week, like, I feel really tired. Is that because I haven't really been getting quality sleep? Or like sometimes what ends up happening, right, when I go through my revenge bedtime procrastination, I will sleep a lot in the coming weeks. Like I'll sleep like 12 hours a night for like several weeks. And then I'm like, but I'm still tired. And it's just because the sleep quality is not good. So you kind of have to pay attention to all these things that happen when you're kind of like, how did you get over your upper limit? What kind of habits did you have? What kind of like, it could be personal, like mental habits, like when your mental health isn't doing very well, like you're feeling depressed or you're feeling really anxious, or like doing small tasks seems really difficult, like taking a shower or brushing your teeth or making dinner for yourself. And you're just like, you know what I'll do? I'll just go through the drive-through, or I'll just do this thing. So you got to pay attention to all that stuff. And then also like, are you working out? Are you taking care of all the other, taking care of your pets? Are you walking them? And there's so many different facets of that. I think that when you have your own personal things, like I don't think revenge bedtime procrastination applies to a lot of people. I'm sure it applies to many thousands of people. But that's something that you kind of have to pay attention to over time. That's how you build a healthy, sustainable schedule. That's how you build something that's actually you can keep up with, instead of keeping adding things to your plate and you're just like, why isn't this working? That's what I used to do. But when I started paying attention to all these things that happened, right? Like when I wanted a ton of sugar, or when I had really bad headaches, or at one point I developed like a cough because I wasn't sleeping very well. Or like I'm not working out and I don't feel good about that, and I feel tired all the time, or I'm snippy and irritable, or I have revenge bedtime procrastination, or I feel like I'm not filling my own cup. Bless you. All of that stuff kind of comes together. Yes? Hello? Would you like to back up into your seal spot? Back up. Back up. Back up. Back up. Back up. All right. Ready, Charlotte? Actually, ready, Bo? 1, 2, 3, dog. Good job, buddy. All right, Charlotte, you have to do the paw. Paw. This one. Ready? Paw. Yeah, good girl. Good job. All right, let's try one more time. Here you go, buddy. Good job. All right, Charlotte, paw. Paw. No, paw. This one, paw. You know what to do. No, you can't have it. You gotta give me your paw. Paw. Come on. You just did it. Come on. Paw. No, don't drool on me. Paw. Come on. You want to try this one? No. You can lick in between my fingers, but you can't get it. Nope. You gotta do paw. Come on. Good girl. We did it. We did it. Everybody be really proud of my dog training skills. It only took me like 10 years to get her to do that. Actually, not 10 years. It's taken me like 3 to 4 years. All right, we did it. Okay, cool. So I don't see any questions in the hopper. I hope that this was helpful. I think, yeah, she used up all her pickle. She used up all her Trito energy, and she's just like, doesn't want to do it anymore. All right, so here's the deal. Last thing I'm going to say is that Overwhelm is normal when you're building a business. It's okay to be overwhelmed. We just don't want it to be happening all the time. It's okay to get stressed out. That happens. What we want to do is pay attention to our habits, and we want to pay attention to how we actually got there, and then write that down so that we can pay attention to like how we fix it in the future. So like if you're feeling tired, or you have headaches or revenge bedtime procrastination, or you want sugar a lot, or you're not taking care of your body, or whatever yours are, like whatever your personal things are, like maybe you skip out on the small little things that you make, feel really good about. Like you stop making yourself a nice warm cup of tea in the morning because you're just like, that seems like a lot of effort, even though it's your favorite part of the day, right? These are all the things that we want to make sure that we pay attention to going forward. It's okay to be kind of like amoeba-ish and go up above your over your upper limit. That happens. It's just part of the process of building a business. But in order to have our healthy, sustainable business, we have to know the mistakes we're making, or the habits that we're forming, or the things that are happening, so we can correct that for the future, so that we can create a sustainable schedule that makes more sense and really take care of our mental health, right? And not get sucked into this like shitty cycle of feeling burned out and hating our jobs and hating all of the, all of the things. Like, if you're starting to feel really bitter about your clients, or you feel like everything is just kind of imploding and you'll never make it, like there's a lot of really negative thoughts that happen in there. So we got to pay attention to all those things. Last thing is that sometimes you're going to have to do personal stuff instead of business stuff. Sometimes you're overwhelmed by personal things, family things, friend things, whatever, and you have to deal with that first. That's normal. We can't spend 100% of our time on our business. And usually, like, as things go, we can't even really spend half of our time on our business. We have to spend time doing other things too. Yeah. This is a good point from Annie. Yeah, like if you're getting, like, doing some fun things, or you're laughing a lot, or getting connection, that's really important. If you feel like you're not connecting with other people, or not laughing a bunch, or you feel like you don't have any fun in your schedule, that's something else that I really struggle with. Is like, there's been many times where I'm just like, I'm not doing anything fun. Like all I'm doing is working, or all I'm doing is meeting other things, like meeting deadlines, or meeting clients, or meeting meetings. And I'm not doing enough fun things, right? And walking the dogs is really fun for me. So that's a really important thing too that we need to pay attention to. Cool. All right. If you ever have anything that you want to get answered on the live stream, or any topics, you can put them in mandyellis.com/question. And also, I've been getting asked this. I also have my free pricing guide. So you can go to mandyellis.com/pricing guide, and you can download it. It's free. I update it regularly. And it has like a general ballpark for a whole bunch of different types of projects that we often do as freelance writers. So you can pick it up there. And when you pick that up, you'll also get my weekly emails. So you'll get my weekly emails letting you know about what we're doing for that week's live stream. And also it gives you like tips and tricks in the emails, and it covers all the different topics that we like, all the different things we have to do as freelance writers. Cool. All right. So cool. I hope everybody has a good Friday. Charlotte's over here grumbling. She looks like she's in a recliner right now. Bo's like over there taking a nap. All right, one more and then we're done. You guys have had so many. But Charlotte, you got to work for it. Ready, Bo? 1, 2, 3, dog. Good job. All right, Charlotte, can you do one more? Can you do one more? Oh, you almost did it. Come on, paw. Give me this one, paw. No. Come on, one more. One more. Yeah, good girl, paw. Good job. All right, we've done it. All right, I will see you, who knows, just as like a heads up, I probably won't do a live stream for the next couple weeks just because of the holiday stuff, and I need a little personal time off. I may hop in and do a random live stream, who knows, we'll be up for surprises, but hope everybody has really good winter holidays, hope everybody enjoys some time off, get some rest time, and we'll be working on our paw thing over here, so hopefully maybe we'll get to high five by then, who knows. I hope everybody has a good Friday, and I will see you soon. Bye.